As you know, Around Flower Mound is all about bringing light to community leaders, business owners, parents, and charities within our fantastic community. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to an absolutely fantastic Flower Mound resident, business owner, and community servant, Stacy Lynn Schriever. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. Like it's an honor because I was like, when you asked me to come on, I'm like, she has some really great, VIPs on this thing. I'm like, I feel like I'm leveled up.
Well, you are, and you have. I'm just so grateful that I could get this on our calendars. So before we begin our conversation, I want to share with our audience some things about you. So
Okay.
Stacy Lynn Schriever is a residential mortgage loan originator and branch manager of Premier Nationwide Lending in Flower Mound. She's been active in the mortgage business for almost 20 years and a resident of Flower Mound since the late 1990s. Today, we're going to hear about Stacy as a mortgage professional and what makes Premier Nationwide Lending in Flower Mound a trusted go-to resource for countless Metroplex homeowners and home buyers. But I also want to introduce you to the Stacy that I know, who is a mother, wife, fellow Rotarian, and community servant, and find out more about what drives her to be the best she can be and the causes she's most passionate about. So, first things first, what is your favorite thing about Flower Mound?
Wow. Okay. Well, when I moved to Flower Mound or came to the area, and interesting, my parents found Flower Mound first, and late in life, and when I came to Flower Mound, I first came to Flower Mound because I had gone on a date with someone that remains nameless, but and I came and he lived in Flower Mound. I'm like, what, and I was raised primarily. I was born in Dallas, but I was raised in Arlington. So I came out to Flower Mound, and when I was here that time, and then later, like when my parents wanted to move here, um, I it just gave the people gave me a sense of peace, and that's what I have found in Flower Mound is just the people gave me a sense of peace, and I enjoyed that part of it so much. And I know that's I was thinking about my answer for that, but there's so many things that have happened while I have lived in Flower Mound. My parents, their whole marriage, and we're married for 40 plus years, and my dad has passed away, but the only home they've ever owned that I helped them get is here in Flower Mound. So no matter what my journey lies ahead, whether I've continued to live in Flower Mound or move somewhere else, I'm always going to have a soft spot in Flower Mound because it's where I became a mom. It's where my parents began to have home ownership, and I'm passionate about it. So, it just gave me a sense of peace. And there's just so many things. I think with Flower Mound, there's so many areas and places where people can plug in. You don't have to do 100 things. You just find that one thing, and whatever that one thing that you might have interest in, I know it's here in Flower Mound.
Exactly. Well, I knew we had a lot in common. That's how I found my way to Flower Mound too.
Your parents?
No,
Oh,
a date that
a
turned in,
date.
that
Oh
turned
my gosh, yes,
that
a date.
he will be named. He is my husband. But
Oh,
yes.
okay, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, clearly your day job and what I know you spend a lot of time and energy and your expertise in is mortgage. So what's front and center on our minds each and every day is the real estate market. But like me, you've been in the mortgage business, and I've been in the real estate business through multiple markets. So where we are
Yes.
today, this moment in time, this too shall pass.
Hmm.
So generally speaking, talk a little bit about your perspective of mortgage, what you and your team do to serve your clients.
I really feel like, well, the first thing that I know that we do, and as our whole team, and we have our Flower Mound office, but we have an office in Lovekin, an office in Spring, an office in Galveston. So we have a group of people that fall under, our team that we help, propel, and to do things. And I think one of the number one things that I think that we do very well is that we don't call it a loan, it's a family. And so, with every decision that we're making and every consideration that we're setting forth in our day, every single day, people say, oh, I'm focusing on customer service. Well, you're supposed to, So, yeah, we focus on customer service, but we know that the decisions that we're making and helping people make to setting their journey forward is a family. At the end of the day, it's a family. Now, that family might be an investor, That family might be a single mom, that family might be a firefighter or a policeman, or that family might be a CEO of a company, or we definitely work with all shapes, all sizes, all types of people, and all types of interest. We are very good with self-employed income, and I feel like a lot of times I don't know why, but I do, and maybe it's a God thing, but I think sometimes we end up with, every week we end up with a family or a person in a situation where someone has declined them or not given them real good advice, and then we're like, no, this makes sense, we can do this. um and I think a lot of times, as people in general, I think people get scared when they think about mortgage because they're trying to be their own expert. And
Mhm.
so, well, I'll have customers that will say, "What do you think of this house? What do you think of this address?" I'm like, "Well, what does your realtor think?" Um, and because they're the expert, and you wouldn't go. I always tell people all the time, you wouldn't go into a trial without a lawyer. You wouldn't go into surgery without a good doctor. And so we feel like we're kind of you know, we're like, we are like a doctor of mortgage. Like, we can't tell you what to do until we take a look at it, and we want to give you our best possible advice. And I was at a business conference last week, and I'll say this, and I hope this doesn't sound as strange as it sounds for me to say it, but I think that why I have so much passion and compassion about the business is that I look at mortgages like its own ministry. It, I know that sounds crazy, but it's a ministry of having the passion to give people really good advice. And that's why I feel like I have really great repeat customers. And I feel like we have really, really good people on our team. Is it perfect every day? Do we all just get along and it's great every day? It's still work,
Yeah,
it's work. But that's what I feel. I have compassion and passion for those things, because to me, the mortgage concepts of everything that you got to know. And then I guess you asked me a little bit about today's market. You know, the market changes every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times in the same day or in the same hour. And what we have to be as professionals is even. Can't get too high. We can't get too low. We have to be even, and we have to be like that, because with our clients, not with just the person getting the loan, but our real estate agents are paramount in our success. And the life of a real estate agent's stress level is like 50, right? And I can't take it down to 1, but can I get it to 20? Can I communicate? Can I over communicate? I think we're considered over communicators and responders at times, because we look at our clients, our loan base, but we also, our realtor partners are huge, and we just want to connect with them in a way that helps them.
absolutely. Well, and I totally
That's a lot
feel
of answer.
well, and that's, that completely resonates with me. I mean, I see what I do as a ministry that, I believe our homes create the chapters and the stories of our lives.
Yeah.
And so, just the team that brings all that together is is paramount, as you mentioned. And that's one of the things, just to circle back to what makes y'all different is, when somebody goes to a big box bank, or they find a ridiculously too good to be true rate online, I cringe, because
Yes.
you and I know, A, that's bait and switch, but B, it's a file on somebody's desk. It's a file. They don't
Yeah.
care that their stuff is loaded up in a truck ready to be unloaded. They
Yes.
don't care really that the contract says you're going to close on a specific date.
Right.
And
Well,
then,
and with I will say this too, it's award season, right? So there's lots of posting about, I won this award, or I got this award, or whatever. And I love that. That's great. Professional success is really important, but I'm always stunned at the number of times where it's listed as a unit,
mhm,
you know,
mhm,
because the average person is not a unit. Now, I can
right.
give you some unit stats if you like, but, I keep saying, for example, like 2021, our team did 300 families, and, as a whole team, and so I think that that's important. Me individually, yeah, I can give you some numbers, 45 million in this amount of time, or whatever it is. but that's the only thing that, from, I'm not knocking other companies and their successes. I think it's great, but you've got to remember that at the end of the day, it is, we're going to make a living, but it is about a family,
Exactly. Well,
home
I love,
ownership. Home ownership is the family is going to live there, whether it's the investor that's renting it to a family, somebody is going to live there. And I want to say this too. You've heard me say this, that, I've heard people stand up and say, well, we close and fund on time. You're supposed to. Like, that's not
please.
customer service. Like, you're actually supposed to do that, and I always, it's like, okay, so we do that because we know that there is a moving van somewhere in that driveway, and so and a 5-year-old that wants their snack and whatever, so we have to do that. And
I
I feel
love it.
like we do have other customer service things. We have a concierge list that we give, a vendor list that we try to get people, that we put on, so people are not trying to reinvent the wheel when they're trying to find a painter, a roofer, stuff like that. And I have one coming up. I like to do housewarming parties. If people are interested in that, I bring a cake that looks like a house, and it's, that again, it's the things that bring me joy, because there's plenty of stuff that, it's still work at the end of the day, and you still have to examine sometimes a lot of tax returns, and sometimes you still have to tell people no. And what we pride ourselves on not saying no. Sometimes we have to say not right now, uh, and work with people. And that's the other thing we do. We do work with people. We've worked with people for 2 and 3 years to get to them to a point where they can qualify, because it's important to us, because it's important to them.
Absolutely. Well, and one of your clients says it best.
Oh,
I was inspired by an online review. There were quite a few to choose from, but I love this because it highlights several things. One, it says, this is your client saying, this is the best, in all caps. I love that, team to handle your lending needs. Stacy has helped lead me through 3 transactions flawlessly. I'm continually impressed by her team's patience, communication, and organization. I'll ask a lot of questions. I'm frequently a skeptic, but Stacy always answers my questions and presents me with options and explanations. Again, it's not you saying I'm so good, but when your clients say she's so good, I mean,
that's
when
great.
I see 3 transactions, because like you said, it's one of those things where you do need a professional to help you in this process, and you do have options, especially when you're buying that second house or that investment property, or you're refinancing when rates go back down. And so the fact that you made a purchase experience initially, I'm assuming, so pleasant that they chose to use you again and again, I think is just, testimony to, yes, obviously, if you didn't have competitive rates and fees, you wouldn't have any clients. Like you said, it's
Right.
like, do you close on time? Yes. Do you have competitive rates and fees? Yes. If you didn't, all these fun things that you do, all these
Right.
housewarming parties and these feel good stuff, you wouldn't have any clients, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
That's
but
true.
if they can get great customer service, and if they can close on time, and if they can get competitive rates and fees, and feel like you're part of a bigger purpose, then why wouldn't somebody do business in that environment? Why wouldn't somebody pick you guys to
Yeah.
be?
So the purpose in life is not to be happy. The purpose in life is to have mattered.
Yeah, yeah,
I say
yeah.
that a lot, and it's so interesting. It has definitely been, a challenging year so far, a lot for a variety of reasons. I mean, it's challenging, but it every year has its challenges. You just, again, you gotta, be even, but sometimes we have to be reminded. And I intentionally, when I was cleaning out my office, and trying to purge some paper and stuff like that. And I had found some of these most recent, really, thank you notes and cards, handwritten notes, which, is just an awesome thing. And I even had one that I had gotten from my team for Bosses Day. And I was like, alone in my office on a weekend. And I was thinking, what am I, I don't want to, I need these. And so I found this deal that I found at Kirkland's. I'm not allowed back in Kirkland's, by the way. It's not good for me. I love that store, but there
Yeah.
was a lady there named Kim who helped me. She was amazing. And it says in this board I got, it's very colorful wood board with these clips. And it says, look what I did.
Oh,
And I look
Oh,
up, and so when I'm having a rough go, I'm able to glance up and I'm able to clip those thank you notes. I have one from Lori Walker, president of the
uh,
chamber, that she wrote
nice.
this really beautiful long note. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to keep it, so this makes me feel good about myself.
Absolutely. Well, and that
Um,
comes through with how you treat others as well. I mean, literally, I do believe in the law of reciprocity. And because you give and exude energy and positivity and competence in your chosen field that
yeah.
enables you to serve this world, I see that's why all
Oh,
that stuff comes
that's so
back. I
great.
love it.
That's so
Now,
great.
well, I'm curious as to, you mentioned a couple different things about your passion for home ownership, about helping your parents buy a home in Flower Mound. So talk a little bit about your background and how you even came to be in the mortgage business.
Well, I think it's interesting. I don't know when we write the canvas of our lives that we know exactly how it's going to turn out professionally. Like probably 70 or 80% of the people who have a college degree are now working in a profession that has nothing to do with that degree, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Uh, and I'm a big advocate of education. So I'm glad I have a college degree. University of Texas of Arlington, just going to put it out there.
There
So,
you go.
um, I'm glad that I have a college degree, but at the end of the day, I was always in some form of sales and marketing, communications, you know, uh, contract negotiation, various things, and I, ended up in a situation where I got, I was listening. I was in a different field and I was listening to some realtors talk about mortgage professionals in not a very good light, like bad. And I was like, well, what's the number one thing? What's the problem? And the number one thing they complained about was communication. And I was like, well, I have a degree in that. Wow. Like how tough can it be? Um, and when I made a decision to get my mortgage license, my original decision to get my mortgage license was my dad and I were going to start and did start what was called the lender services business because he was an architect, a registered architect. And a lot of banks and stuff, commercial banks, don't, they used to back in the day, a long, long time ago, would hire architects and engineers, but then they learned that they didn't have to actually have somebody full time on a staff. They only had to have somebody on a per project basis. So anyway, there's a lot more to that story, but I'll just say that that was the original reason that I got a license. And then my dad passed away very sudden and unexpected in the midst of that at 61 years old. So the younger I get to that age, the sooner I get to that age, the younger that 61 to me, I just want to say.
Mhm,
Um, and that's been, he's been gone now 17, 18 years. And so it's like, okay, well, I have this license. I took this test and I would laugh because my high school math teacher probably would be so stunned that I'm in the mortgage business. Be like, what? She does what? Um, but to me, I looked at it, as an opportunity to be on the precipice. Once I got the license and then that, obviously he passed away and then I had to recalibrate.
mhm,
And I had someone that I knew and who had a mortgage company and it was a broker shop, if you will. And so he needed a kind of a partner, and I was willing to do things he wasn't willing to do. I was willing to make sales calls and make cold calls, and I just to me it was just an avenue of relationships, building
mhm,
relationships, and people. But the other side of it was I'm an advocate for home ownership. Like
mhm,
this totally makes sense. Like why would I not be in this profession? Even though the avenue of getting here, and yes, from a sales standpoint, yeah, it's like selling money.
mhm,
But it to me, it was selling money for a purpose. And the home ownership was the purpose. Did I think that I was going to be in a situation where I finally, helped my parents navigate the waters of being homeowners. I don't know that I thought that when I was, sitting next to my dad and saying, Dad, you can do this, like, let me help. And when I say let me help, I'm not saying I put my name on a loan. It was their loan,
mhm,
but let me help navigate some of the waters. Let me tell you what you qualify for. Let me, let me help with just some of the stuff that you have to do along the way. And so With that said, that was a huge decision in my life. And when they moved into the home that my mom still lives in, and my mom is 82 years old,
Oh.
and we've refinanced it, we've redone. She's known you more than 5 minutes, then then she has shown you her granite countertops, just saying. And in its perspective, my mom was born and raised in Marlin, Texas. It's a very small town. It's outside of Waco, Texas, and Waco was where my grandparents were. And my grandfather was, as I knew him professionally, was a school teacher. That was my dad's parents. And when they first moved into the house, I remember my dad saying, "Hey, I think I'm going to do this. Hey, I think I'm going to do that. Hey, I'm going to hang this or paint this." And I was like, "Dad," like this was like the first month. I'm like, "Dad, I don't care if you paint the damn thing pink. Like it's your house. It's not my house. Like I helped, but it's your house." And that's when I realized, because our relationships with our parents really change when we're adults, right?
Mhm.
And I had to have a moment, and because that's when I realized, when I was a kid and I wanted to paint my room, chartreuse pink or whatever, he wasn't telling me no, he was being told no,
Mm.
because his entire adult life he was asking for permission
Wow.
for where he lived. And that had an impact on me, and
Mhm.
so it was like, okay, well, how do I impact other people in that same way? And it just kind of grew from there. And mortgage and real estate is an interesting mistress.
Mm. Oh, do tell.
When you it what I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It has a lot of tentacles. You can take your
Mhm.
business in a lot of different ways. You can figure out, you fit in here, you fit in there. Um, but once you are in it, it's a difficult escape,
Yeah.
like because you're in it, because if you're really in it for the right reasons, you're really in it for the relationships and the people, and you crave it, and I liken it to when people play professional sports, when they're playing basketball or professional sports in any way, or even college. My husband played college football for TCU. And did he really miss getting hit and all that? No, but he missed the brotherhood. He missed the team. And we build a team around a person and to achieve their goals. And I think that it's a difficult escape, because the connection is there, and so I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's how it happened. And then there were once I started, growing my business, I started taking advantage of, and since we're talking about Flower Mound and how much I love Flower Mound, I want to say that, when I was starting and I was living in Flower Mound, there were people that, I didn't have enough experience. They weren't going to give me the time of day,
Mhm.
and so I sought on purpose, manipulated Google and some other things. And I don't manipulate's a bad word, but it's not a bad word, in a way where I Googled in different counties outside of this county, small and medium sized counties in Texas. And I put things in there like first time home buyer and
Mhm.
um, special programs. And, I was just Googling stuff, and they wouldn't have an expert. There'd be
Mhm.
nobody.
Mhm.
And I became the somebody. And
Mhm.
then that's how, so I grew my business from the outside in. And then it was like, well, wait a minute, she's just down the street. Hold on a
Exactly.
second. She knows what she's doing on this program. I'm like, I tried to tell you, Uh, and
God, that
and
sounds so familiar.
and I love reading new programs. I love reading. I mean, we recently were honored with a producer's trip to Curacao, and we got on the plane, and I got my backpack out and everything, and my husband's about to fade to close the eyes. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I got these things to read." And he's like, What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I printed out some guidelines." He's like, "You are a nerd." And it's like, well, I think I can learn this program. I think I can do this type of loan, and then if I do this type of loan, it's going to help this class of people.
Yeah.
Um, and again, we're blessed. We have investors and people that, we do jumbo loans, we do all of that.
Mhm.
Um, but in the infancy, what I believed is that there were generations of people that were being disenfranchised from being homeowners because they just didn't know what to do. My parents rented my childhood home for 19 years.
Oh, bless them.
19 years. And if
Bless
you
them.
equate the rent per of the amount of time they spent in that house, like I've done the math, and it's literally almost $500,000, you know, and they made the best decision that they could make at the time. There was nothing wrong with the decision that they made. They wanted my brother and I to go to the same schools, the same people, the same for our entire school life. And we were blessed with that. So they made the right decision for the moment, but it was
Right.
tough because that's not really what they ultimately wanted to do. So trying to get them in a situation where they were homeowners later, it was tough. And the only other thing I say to this, and I say this to real estate agents, is that you're there in a situation at the biggest decision of their life, sometimes the biggest investment of their life. And with my parents, they weren't in that house very long, a few years. And again, I've said it, but I was on the phone, or I was, um, it was like a 20-minute gap. I was just visiting with my dad and left the house, and I own a home in Flower Mound. So I was going over there, and 45 minutes later, he was gone
Mm.
like that. And if I hadn't convinced my parents to purchase a home, where would my mom be?
Right.
She worked in special education. So I have a soft spot for teachers, a soft spot for that field. My mom worked till she was 75 years old.
Wow.
She didn't retire till she was 75. And then she went back and subbed. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Like,
We need her.
yeah, yeah. And that, and, but, and so thank God I was in a position to tell them to purchase that home, because the same home, the only home they've owned, in the same home that they've been in, that she's still in now. And she's still planting posies, telling you.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I
I love
tell people
that.
all the time that my mom says every time you speak to a group of people, you got to take them flowers. I'm like, Mom, I'm not sure I could do that. And so what I have is I have a packet of seeds, and I always tell people if they'll shoot me an email, because and I don't know how we're gonna tell people that, but if they shoot me an email, then I will, and their address, we'll mail them a packet of seeds, and it's bluebonnet seeds or forget me nots, and so we'll grow together, and so that at
Mm.
every presentation we pass out seeds. At my wedding in November, everybody got seed packets because that's my
Ah,
thing.
that's your thing. I
That's
love
my
it. I
thing.
love it. I love it. Well, and I know you're obviously an accomplished mortgage professional and have a lot of passion that carries over into other things that I see that you do. You and I are fellow members of Cross Timbers Rotary Club, and which is really just shine the light in my world in a way that I never knew existed, of the people that are in need and the ways we can serve even here in our local community. But I know that your Rotary journey didn't just start with Cross
No,
Timbers.
right. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Rotary and what that has meant to you in your life.
Well, let me say this. I was raised in a family that provided community. We did community service. That's what we did. My dad said, if you have a plan to get, then you better have a plan to give.
Mm.
And so we participated in so many different things, community service wise, but we participated at that time when we were kids in an organization called JC's, Junior Chamber of Commerce. And so within that organization, in my young life, I at 18 became chapter president, and everybody around me was 10 and 15 years older than me. And that catapulted me to further opportunities, where I found myself in the 90s as the national vice president of U.S. Junior Chamber of Commerce, traveling the entire United States, and speaking and being an advocate for community service. And so when that ended, I would do other things. I got very involved in the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and I raised lots of money for that. And it's such a funny story, but I had a loan customer named Larry, and Larry said, I want you to, I said, I really need you to sign these documents. Like, he was dragging his feet, and he goes, I tell you what, at noon on Wednesday, you come to the Lancaster Theater, and Grapevine, and I'll sign the papers. I'll buy you lunch and I'll sign the papers. And I said, okay. And so I showed up, and it was the Rotary lunch. And I remember calling him ahead of time and saying, hey, I sing professionally at the theater. at that time I was a big performer with the Grapevine Opry before the producer retired after 26 years. And so I called him. I'm like, they don't have lunch there. I sing there. I know, And so he's like, no, no, really. So I showed up and it was the Rotary meeting. And I was like, okay. So I got my paper signed, but I stayed for the whole meeting and it was great. And then the next time I needed something signed, I had to come back for the lunch. And what I told him is I said, I'm just about finished with what I was working on in regards to a project that I was doing with leukemia lymphoma. And I said, when this finishes, then I think that's what I'll do. I'll join. And uh, and I uh, I don't know, like I thought I love what the Rotary stands for. Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build uh, goodwill and better friendships? That resonated with me because that was my childhood. That was my life, and so, um, it, you know, it was interesting to be a member in Grapevine, but I had business there, so I wasn't living there, but I had business there and they invited me. So I can remember I remember meeting Gerald Robinson. And Gerald said, "Why are you a member of Grapevine?" I go, "Because they asked me, because they invited me. Y'all didn't ask me, um, so there was that part of it was kind of funny, but then I got involved and became I was single, right? So there was ways to plug in and all that kind of stuff. And then not it's too long a story, but the impact that group made on me was I ended up joining Rotary International to go on a medical mission trip to Haiti at a time where there wasn't enough people they had committed to this project and they didn't have enough leadership going on the trip. And I'll never forget me asking a question. That's where it starts. Don't ever ask a question. You'll be voluntold. And so I remember asking Sharon Miles a question about how the Haiti thing was coming together. And I don't know how personal I should make this, but I will tell you that it was at a time that I was very sad. And I was just asking a question like, how's that thing going? And I, much like many women, I was fertility challenged, and I had gone through a miscarriage, and it was my third one, and there was nothing else I could do. I had also had a car accident when I was pregnant, so there was that. So I had asked Sharon that question because I was just asking, and I was very sad, just trying to overcome that. And then she put her hands on my shoulders and said, "Can you go?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, I cannot go to Haiti. No, 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 no." And I'm right home that night, and I literally woke up in the middle of the night and my dad had long since passed away at that point, right? And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I literally thought that my dad was in the room with me. And I don't know if anybody's ever had that kind of experience where you hear a voice, and that sounds so strange, but I literally remember, I really felt like he was saying, "What do we do? We get up, we get on with it, and we go do something good for somebody else. That's how you get over it. That's how you get on with your emotion. Get up, get over it, go do something good for someone else." And so I was like, wow, okay. Well, my passport was expired. And so, and this was going to be it was a couple of months away at that point. I was going to need to raise a little bit of money. Grapevine chapter had nobody going. So they thought it was awesome that I would be willing to go. So I went. And I remember when I got on the plane going to Haiti, that with the Rotary, that I remember saying, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do good deeds. Like God doesn't want me to be a mom. I'm supposed to go do good deeds, and I'll just do these. I'll do these good deeds. I'll do a good deed like this, once a quarter, and that's what I'm supposed to do. And it wasn't very long when I was there where I was blogging at night, whenever we get some light or what we didn't have an internet connection, but the Haiti experience was, when people say when they go on a mission trip, it's life changing, they're not kidding, like, uh, it gives me chills when I talk about it,
Mhm.
because, we have so much that we're blessed with right here. And, I was probably a couple days into it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I, I can, you know, that I could adopt. But what I was
Mhm.
thinking was that when I would see some of these children in Haiti, you want to take them out of the environment they're in, because you have a compassion for their situation, and you think that you could take them out and make it so much better. But that's their home, that's where they live, right? And I'll never forget when I got off the plane, I was coming down the escalator from the international flight, and my mom was at the bottom with my dog, which was my baby at the
Of
time, my dog.
course.
And I'll never forget when she said, "Well, where are they?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She thought I just knew you were going to come off the plane with one, two, or 10, like, kids, and I said, "Mom, it doesn't work like that." But what happened to me was, I don't, I just wanted to be somebody's mom. I always knew I wanted to be somebody's mom, even more than I wanted to be somebody's wife. How sad is that?
No.
Yeah. And so when I came back, I knew that was the change. And immediately within a week, I reached out, started taking classes, started uh, uh, trying to figure out how to navigate that. And, and I wanted to adopt locally, because I knew that here in the United States, I knew that there were kids that were that, were in foster care or whatever. But I'm, I love to talk about my daughter, but I have a hard time because I didn't I'm not I'm not saving the planet. I wanted to be
Mhm.
somebody's mom. And
Yeah.
God intended for this strong-willed, determined, oh my gosh, kid to be mine. There's no doubt. Like there's no question. My brother has said to me, so this child might not be your DNA, but there's no question. No question. So she definitely, that it changed my life. No, that Rotary. And then what happened was she became 5 years old, and schedules and being a single mom and running a business and all of that. The Grapevine Rotary Club would meet at Wednesdays at noon. And um, I know the Rotary that was in Flower Mound, but then they had started Cross Timbers, and
Mhm.
y'all meet for breakfast on a Friday at 8. And I was like, well, I could drop off at school and make that. And it was just one of those things. But it was so difficult to tell the Grapevine Rotary Club,
Mhm.
who had changed my life in so much. But the only baby shower, when you adopt and you get a baby that's 12 months old, people don't think about baby showers. The
Right.
only baby shower that I was given was the one at the
Oh.
Rotary. And
Oh.
that was changing. But yeah, so then went over to Timbers, and it was supposed to be a transfer, but I don't know that it was looked like a transfer. I'm not exactly sure, but and I just, and it was hard because it was definitely a new group, and trying to fit in and all that kind of stuff. I just remember. But and it has been a number of years now. But what I love about the Cross Timbers Rotary Club is, again, I love that you can plug in to different things. Like, you can find the one thing, and that's the one thing you do for the year, or when that comes around. Or you can, just there's so many different interests. I mean, I don't drink wine, but I kind of like the wine fellowship people because they're kind of fun. Or a book club, or the Duck Derby, which,
Mhm.
all hail to Nicole, because she is the sponsorship chairman, committee guru, and I'm just glad to be in her presence. But
Wow.
uh so we've got our party coming up on June 3rd, to promote the Duck Derby and the Duck Derby for September. So there's, even with the Duck Derby, it's such a big project that
Mhm.
you might, hey, I can only do this on this 4 hours, but we still need your help.
Absolutely.
And so
Lots
that's
of
what I
places
like.
to plug
But
in.
I will say Rotary, just in general, the relationships, um, the love, just the family of Rotary. Like, I've had some pretty major surgeries, and the fact that they're willing to bring a meal and take care, just I don't know, where do you sign up for that? It's just amazing. I feel the same. I feel the same level of respect for that club and that group and volunteerism in that way as I have for anything in my life. but I feel the same level of reverence and respect for it as I do St. Nicholas Church. And St. Nicholas Church here is also here in Flower Mound. The pastor there is Father Mark Wright. And St. Nicholas Church, we have certain things that we do that we're close to, Salvation Army, and just different things that we do, and different worships that we participate in. So
I love
anyway,
that. Oh my gosh, we could talk for hours and hours and
I
hours
know.
and hours and hours. I told you I had things prepared, but I just, I
I'm
couldn't even.
sorry.
I
I
know I'm
know.
just, no, don't, no, seriously, that's what I love about this. I love the opportunity to have a conversation, and then to be able to have this vehicle, this Around Flower Mound podcast, to be able to share this conversation so people can really connect with. Yes, I'm promoting your business because that again is your lifeblood, but it's so much more than that. And it's just, you just really bring your energy and your passion and your servant mindedness to all that you do. So I'm so
Appreciate
glad.
that.
Yeah, I just appreciate your time so much. And so I know there were some other things we wanted to talk about, but before we sign off, just in the interest of time, I know how valuable yours is there. I definitely want to, we'll be plugging in where people can go to find you if they want to apply for a mortgage, if they want to learn more about anything they've heard you talk about today.
Well, let
Um,
me say this.
yes.
And I know we like these things to be evergreen and all that, but this is what happened this morning. So we're Plan Beers, but we are celebrating in our mortgage office in Flower Mound and Fountain Park, off of Long Prairie. We've been in this physical office for a year, and so we're celebrating a little over a year now, a year anniversary in this location. So we were having a snack shredded event that was scheduled for tomorrow on Tuesday, the 24th. Well, Plan B, because it's a parking lot party. And so we're having inclement weather. So we are doing it next Tuesday. So that all changed this morning. So tables, chairs, food, whatever. There's a lot of different changes this morning. And along with the Flower Mound Chamber, it's our ribbon cutting. So the Flower
Ah,
Mound Chamber, that's another thing. You could plug into the Flower Mound Chamber.
mhm.
There is so many things. You don't have to plug into all of it, find one thing, but they moved on a dime this morning too. And we welcome people to come out for that, so the
Awesome.
snack and shred for that. But we earlier this year, we did a women's empowerment event with Orlando Hinojosa in the sheriff's Denton County Sheriff's Office, and we enjoyed partnering with them. It was such a successful event. We'll probably do that again. So we try to do community outreach of some sort once a quarter, and then education at least once a quarter for mortgage and education for our realtors. I do want to say that we do a navigating home ownership class. It is a virtual class. I've done it in person, but I'm doing it virtually on June the 7th. And so I can send you information on that, or a link,
Yes.
so that people can, and anyone can get online on that. It's navigating home ownership in a new market. So
I love it.
so we are, anybody, your mom, your brother, your sister, anybody that needs to navigate home ownership, they don't have to be right here in Flower Mound, but we sure like it if they move here. But they can be anywhere in Texas, or whatever. So our team is licensed in Texas, Oklahoma, and also about to be very close to, within a day, of Florida.
Oh,
So
wow.
so
You
we're
got them
excited.
covered. That's
We
awesome.
we're excited. There is so much. There's so much that I could have. I've
I know.
talked too much about too many things. So
No, it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Exactly what I
I did
wanted to
get married in
share.
November, so I know I made a little comment about that, and I do want to shout out to my husband Ben. I did
Mhm.
shout out for TCU, but he is also a loan officer, and we are in the business together. And it gets, it's fun. It's still work, and it gets a little crazy. But
Well,
and he's been
and
a
I want
great.
to. He is a great guy, and I want to do a shout out to you also for bringing Hero Nation and Level Up.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yes.
that was an amazing experience, and obviously that's something that has been very impactful in how you do business and how you do life.
Yes. Yeah. Business coaching, I think, is uh huge and paramount. I think people need business coaching if they're going to be in business, because it collapses time. It helps you leverage time, and it collapses time, because there's always somebody else that's trying to figure this out or that out, and they may have already figured it out. Uh, and I really enjoy my relationship with Hero Nation, Wayne Salmons, and I think one of the things that they have taught me is to capture, connect and convert,
Mhm.
and I like that. And I like the level up training, and I was glad that we hosted it in March. I thought it was great. But it I think everybody's got to find their way, and there's a lot of different coaching opportunities and in the market. And that's, we were glad to host that. We're going to host it again because we liked it so much.
Awesome. Well, and that's why, so these links that will be in the show notes and also in this will direct folks to that. So if they miss out on this go round, we know that they'll be coming back. You just bring a tremendous amount of energy and goodness to this world. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thanks for being my guest today.
I appreciate that.
All
And
right.
I
Well,
appreciate being here, and if we can help in any way or guide in any way, that's what we're here to do.
awesome.
Have a great day.
Woo. Seriously, we could have done this for a lot longer, but
Uh,
I know it's so good. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I
Okay. So,
forget. I forget when I'm trying to tell a story. First of all, I need to tell it in a Cliff Note version, but I forget that sometimes some of those stories are hard to tell.
yeah. Well,
So,
that is exactly why I come prepared. Filling in the gaps was not going to be a problem with you. There are some people where it's like 3-word answer, and then
oh.
you're like, oh shoot, I better be thinking up some more questions, some more, open-ended questions, kind of thing. But anyway, it
Well,
was
and
wonderful.
I know you got a lot of uh a lot of shows filled or whatever, but you can if you want to do a take two, like
Yeah.
couple months or something like
Yeah.
that, and we'll say, hey, we had so many questions about this or so many
Yes.
questions about this, so we thought we'd do a take two, and
Yeah.
so we could do that.
Perfect. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you. Thank you. All right. Well, so good to know about. I can take that off my calendar for tomorrow because that was for sure on it.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
You have no idea. And I fought it all weekend, Nicole. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that. And then I thought, well, we'll change locations because
Oh,
my office here is 2,000 square feet. So most of the party was going to be outside.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I didn't, no idea. I didn't want to do that. So then
Right.
it was like, okay, well, we'll go to an inside location or something like that. Right. Well, then it kind of defeats the purpose of some of the
Yeah.
new stuff I bought for the office. And then it's like,
Yeah.
and then if the weather's bad, it doesn't matter where we are,
Right.
and so and I'm going to pull up the weather because,
Has it
yeah,
changed?
yeah, it's now 100% chance of driving rain for tomorrow with 50-mile-an-hour winds.
You made the right
100% chance.
call. 100%. You made the right call. That's the other
So,
thing is if you make the call and then it's
oh yeah.
perfect. But even the well, and I know you played in the golf tournament, how
Uh,
that the forecast was scary. And we were talking about that
right.
even on Friday when Lori said, she had been home for maybe like half an hour and then boom.
Oh, I texted her that night after we
Yeah.
got home and stuff
Yeah.
from the golf tournament. I texted her. I go, you have to be the best event planner ever, like the luckiest event planner ever. And she's like, oh yeah, we got away with one. No way. But on the golf course, it was 30 knot winds. It was not that
Oh,
I like to play golf, but that was a tough day. I got to
yeah,
be honest.
I'm a fair weather golfer at best, and really not even a fair weather golfer anymore. But
Right.
well,
Um,
thank you, thank
so
you, thank
hey,
you. Yes,
so tell me why you want, well, the two questions. Why do
yeah.
you want to exit real estate? And then
Mhm.
did Level Up help at all to try to figure that out?
Um, yes and no. I've been in therapy literally, well, off and on forever because I'm all about being the best me I can be in this one lifetime I get to live. But I am full on codependent with my clients, and I can't do this Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but I also can't live like this. And so the last couple of years, the question that I've been trying to answer is, why do I work like this? Like, why am I I'm literally killing myself from the inside out. I mean, I went through menopause like in my early 40s,
Oh, wow.
like I am burning myself up from the inside out in the name of this is who I am and this is what I do and this is what my clients deserve. And I have done the relationship building business such that I feel this. But when you in the real estate mortgage business, when you try to level up, you have to hand off. I have not been successful in handing off. So So the therapy part of it was like, why do I work so hard? Well, for one thing, I'm post-traumatic stress from living through the recession. I mean, I was a single
Oh,
mom, just gotten
E.
divorced, owed. I mean, I had to borrow over $100,000 to get divorced from husband number two because I didn't learn my lesson on number one, and it was the recession. So, and I'm, relationship based. So when people would say, "Hey, can you help me sell my house?" I'd be like, "Don't sell if you don't have to," right? And so, anyway, so I think a lot of my business acumen was, never say no, coming from a place of lack and limitation. Just, I have to say yes. I have to say yes because I never know when the faucet's going to turn off. So I
Mhm.
worked through that, and then my mom passed away last summer. And by the way, I'm married to the guy that I dated that got me into
Right.
Flower Mound, and he's 61, and we've moved into Orchard Flower, which is over 55. Uh, and so everyone around us is retired.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, and my mom went in for
Where's
surgery.
where's
What?
Orchard Flower? Where
30,
in
40 in Old Orchard in Flower
oh,
Mound.
in Old or oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I'm around. And my husband's, he is salivating over retirement. He's got the golden handcuffs for a 40-year career, but just, ready at any moment. And so my mom had surgery on July 30th last year and basically died on the table, but they kept her alive
Oh,
for 3 weeks. And, which, worked out the way it was supposed to work out. But that was, and I had one of those. Most of my clients are amazing people and I love loving them and exceeding their expectations. But I had one of those, yeah, sorry, your mom's on life support, but I need you to, do this for me. And sorry, so I kind of came through that experience of like, what is it all about? Meanwhile,
wow.
my brother-in-law, my sister, so my brother-in-law is a retired Fort Worth firefighter, and he retired about 3 years ago. And my sister retired in at the end of June. And so all this was going on when mom was in the hospital. They went to Colorado to close on the house that they had contracted on in July. That because they're retired now and they're going to travel now. And he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And by the way, and he's my brother. Like he married my sister in 1984. She's 2 years older
Oh,
than me.
yeah.
So one of my all-time favorite people on this planet. And so I think just like bam, bam, and then coming off of, 2 years in a row of closing 50 something, 52 1 year and 50 in like 9 months, COVID year, all of our production was compressed. Last year, all my
Oh, yeah.
production was compressed. And it's like, you know what, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And as passionate as I've always been, and I have been about, and that's what's hard about transitioning. I'm not transitioning to anything, and it's hard to transition from because I really, 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 really love the people that I serve.
Yeah.
But how can I serve? But my psychosis is nobody can do it as well as I can. And
Right.
if I can't win, I don't want to play.
Right.
And I mean, it's a process, and part of me is continuing the sub level of marketing and staying relevant because you and I know once you get out, getting back in,
Mm-mm.
but I'm not all in. So
Yeah.
it's just figuring out how
Well,
to.
I think what does winning look like? I think we have to ask ourselves
Right.
what does winning look like? So,
Yeah.
so um we so and there are a lot of teams that do this. So, but I don't. So on our team, we could have all of the units, and all the, loan officers and all the units fall under me. Well, I
Hmm.
don't do that. So I
Yeah.
have my own production and then they have their own production because our company, our Premier Nationwide Lending publishes the Million Dollar Club, right? And so how many ever units that takes to do families or whatever.
Right.
So because I did it that way, on our team, on our team, people that Philip Price, Ken Melber, they wouldn't have and Deanna and so forth. There was 5 of us on that producer's trip,
Wow. That's so cool. Instead
and
of
the
just you,
joy
right? Yeah.
instead of just me and Ben, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
um, and I didn't know I was that person, right?
Yeah.
Because I like the credit.
I know,
I'm the one managing this shit.
right?
But the joy that it gave me for them to
Yeah.
have that opportunity in Philip Price in Lufkin, Texas, to do almost $16 million worth of business. I'm telling you, to do $16 million worth of business in Lufkin, that's like doing like 30 or 40 here.
Wow.
And
Rock star.
when we talk about business or the number of loans or the number of like I was on the phone with a customer the other day, and since January of 2020 on my own personal production, I've done $45 million worth of loans.
Wow.
45 million. Now, people go, well, and I'm like, I would love to tell you that my loan average, do I have some loan average, jumbo loan average deals? Yeah, sure. But I would love to sit here and tell you that my loan average is $500,000, but my loan average is not $500,000.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of loans,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
shit ton.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the loan amount, the tasks. I mean, if there's
Yeah.
25
Yeah.
tasks to
Yeah.
do a loan, it's the same 25 tasks if I get paid this or I get paid that,
Same.
and
Yes.
yeah, it's the same. It doesn't matter. So like when people get a listing, if you get a listing that's a $200,000 listing or 700,000, you still got to
Mhm.
do the same stuff, so,
Amen. Amen, sister.
um, yeah, so it's been,
Mhm.
but when, again, the hard part is that when award seasons come out like they
Yeah.
are now, I separated the stuff. So,
Yeah.
I don't then, and I'm just like you, like it's like, it does bug me,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm not top 1%. Well, technically,
Mhm.
I am, but it's like, okay, well, that's not why you did it, so
Yeah.
that you could put them on a path and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so I don't that's the you're going through the same contemplation that I was going through sitting in Level Up, is like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what is winning?
Yeah. And
What
for me, it's not having to set an alarm in the morning. For me,
Yeah.
winning is being, I didn't put makeup on yesterday, where,
Yes.
I mean, right. It's
I
like,
didn't either.
and that was not me for 27 years. I mean, I was
Right.
ready, willing, and able, kind of thing.
Yes.
It's not having that, not operating on the highest level of adrenaline rush at all times,
Yes.
and
Not everything is
negotiating.
a crisis.
No, and just, in the
No.
middle of the
And
night, just working every night. And so it's really just, being able to slow down. And what's fascinating, for 27 years, I do a lot of stuff because I love to do it. But what I didn't realize until I isolated out and got some therapy about around this is I was like scanning the room, scanning the room, scanning the room, like, who can I help? Who can I serve? Because I do believe in the law of reciprocity. And I do believe that I don't work for free. I do believe everything I do, whether it's compensated directly or not, will ultimately be compensated, whether it's that $1 million house instead of the $300,000 house or whatever. But it's always, always, always on, where. And so I've been doing some one-on-one lunches with Jim and I and different Rotarians. I started with people I didn't know that well. He started with the beginning of the alphabet. Our goal is to work through it to where we have lunches. And it's been so refreshing to be sitting in a lunch with somebody and really being able
to
to
pay attention.
and listen. And it had nothing to do with me. And even though I never thought that I was manipulating the situation or in a relationship for the wrong reasons, and I forgive myself for all that, because I did what I wanted to do, which was build a relationship based business. But it's like to have a relationship where it's not in any way, shape, or form conditioned on what I might or might not be able to do for or get from these people.
Yeah, it's not about a fiduciary benefit.
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm. So
Um,
yeah, I don't know what's next, but I want to give myself permission. And that's the other thing too, is when all this is going on with my mom and my sister, and then Dave lost his mom in February. We met with our financial advisor last fall, and when you're given the permission, when somebody tells you you got enough,
mhm.
and I never had that. And I never thought I would get there. I thought I'd be selling houses until I died. Like my sweet friend, Liz Maddox, who literally closed a deal. She was like 82, 83 years old. I don't know if you knew her. She was a Remax Trinity forever.
Mhm.
She, closed a deal, and 2 weeks later she died at like in her 80s. And I really thought that would be me, because I love what I do and I love the people I do it for. But to be given that permission, that if I never made another cent, I could continue to live this lifestyle, that changes things.
Mhm.
that changes things in a way I never thought that it could. So when I say it's not about the money, I mean that it's really not about the
Right,
money.
right. Well, but the thing is that you still have built this database, and
I
that database has
know.
value.
I
So you
know.
should be able to sell your database. Now, the way that you to make the decision to sell it is, depends, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but what I wanted to say to you is that what I visualize for you is that I think that you have so much to offer with a mentorship type coaching relationship
Hmm.
with the right person or persons, maybe two or three people that are young and up and coming, lots of energy realtors that one, that you can, provide the mentorship and the coaching and
Hmm.
the pitfalls, so that they
Yeah.
don't make the
Yeah.
same ones or whatever. um hey, I want you to do this and be successful at it. I just want you to do it better. It's kind of the Tony Jerry model, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
He provides a lot of free advice
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
um, but and then that's where if you make those people, or maybe it's not just in my mind I'm thinking three, but maybe it's just one or
Hmm.
two. But if
Hmm.
you build that person in your own reflection, then you're building them in your own reflection so you can have faith
Yeah.
and rest and peace knowing that they're going to take care of the customer in the same way
Yeah.
that you would. And that was the only way that I mean, literally after 2020 on December 31st, the last loan funded on December 31st, and I was determined to do it personally, not the team, but personally, I was determined to
Hmm.
do over 100, close 100 loans,
Hmm.
close
Hmm.
108 or 109. And when the last one funded, I thought I was going to die. Like I
Yeah.
literally thought I was
Yeah.
going to die.
Yeah.
I like went into a slumber, and the next day, I think it was the next day on the first. Yeah, the next day in the afternoon, we were. I I also always sing on New Year's Eve. We didn't even talk about that on the deal,
Yeah.
and that's over, right? That's been over because of COVID or whatever, and because I couldn't manage it all,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and so the next day in the afternoon, late afternoon on the first, in at the highest weight I had ever been, at the highest amount of exhaustion that I have ever felt, because I did so much of it all by myself,
Yep.
in that late afternoon, he asked me to marry him. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you want me? Like, I'm so overweight and I'm just a neurotic pain in the ass, right? And then it was like, oh, we gotta yeah,
Yeah.
okay, hold on a second, let's get real. And it wasn't, all, and we definitely, was the road to the road to the church was tough,
Yeah.
just all the different things. But you know, that's the hard part is that you get what is winning, but
Yeah.
what has value, not just your
Hmm.
database, but what you
Right.
know. So setting it up in such a way where you can earn an income on it,
Hmm.
a mentorship or a coaching situation, or something along those lines. Like I like just talking to you, I would love to
Hmm.
go reactivate. I have a real estate license, it's
Uh-huh.
inactive. I'd like, oh shit, I need to go reactivate it just so I can get these nuggets of information
Yeah.
and
Well,
apply it
and
in our business. So,
I'm creating space for that. I did some coaching with a really, she wrote a book called the Call to Further Becoming, where she interviewed 100 women over 50. And ours is the first generation, and I think you can relate to this, that we're the first generation where as women, we haven't gone straight from being a daughter to being a mother
uh,
to being a grandmother.
right.
And there's this generation where, like, I was a mother, I raised my children, boom, that chapter's over. I may or may not ever be a grandmother. I assume I will be, maybe, whatever, but not the traditional like Nana, you know.
I'd love to tell you the reason I really adopted is because I wanted to be a mom. I really adopted because uh I really wanted to be a grandma. And I'm like, well, you can't be a grandma if you're not a mom.
Exactly. But and so the work that I've been doing with her has been in and around, how do I take that wisdom? How do I take this knowledge? How do I, and not even, I haven't even got to the part of monetizing it because that pressure, I'm living with the awareness that that pressure is off. For the first time in my entire life, I've been working since I was 13 years, actually, probably
I've
even
been working
earlier than
since I was
that.
13 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had
Wow.
a paying gig in a bakery
Yep.
at 13.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
well, girl,
Okay.
we need to get a glass of wine because I've got to jump on a call at 12:30. But this has just been an absolute pleasure. And I hate that I'm on my way out of real estate is now that I've connected with you because I
Oh,
know we
sure.
would, well, there will
Well,
be some opportunities for
what?
loans and deals.
But you've got a gal because Stacy talks about her.
Yeah,
Stoltz talks about her.
I've got, so her name is Dina. She bought a house for me 11, 12 years ago as a single mom. She
Okay.
got her license about a year and a half ago, and she is the girl that I'm giving most of my business to.
Okay.
And I'm mentoring her. I
Okay.
haven't invited her into my fold with my people yet. And that's
Oh,
where when I say I'm 95% out, I'm not out.
right.
I'm giving myself permission to breathe
Yeah.
and to make
Well,
decisions from
if
a
you would
place
be
of,
willing,
yeah,
to, I'll buy the dinner, but if we
yeah,
could have a dinner where it was a handoff like that,
yeah.
that would be a beneficial definitely beneficial to me, and beneficial
Absolutely. And
to her.
she lives in Louisville.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, she's a rock star. She is already and will be a rock star.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying that. So let's
Well,
make
what
that
we would
happen
do
for
is
sure.
I could help coach her too, I mean,
We got some in your spare
got-
time. I'm going to
yeah.
add myself to your plate.
Well, I know, and I didn't, this will save the answer for another day, but I also was going to ask you, why do you want to be president of the Rotary? So-
Well, that's an answer for over wine for sure.
Ah, okay, bye.
Love you, sister. Bye.
Okay, bye.